Are you tired of being ideal but not being his secret fantasy? You give him all of yourself, your care, your loyalty, your warmth, but in his eyes there isn't that same fire that burns all prohibitions and turns you into an obsession. What if I told you that the key to his primal desire lies not in becoming even better, but in daring to meet your darkness? Carl Jung called it the shadow, and it is the most powerful weapon of seduction you've never been told about. The passion you seek is hidden not in him, but in the part of you that you are afraid to acknowledge. Over the next 20 minutes, you won't just understand why good girls lose the battle for passion. You will find out your main task: how to turn your hidden, unacceptable side into a source of magnetism. And you will see a clear path to becoming not just his woman, but his obsession. If you are ready to stop being convenient and start being unforgettable, our journey into the shadow begins right now. You have created the perfect harbor for him. Candlelit dinners, silent understanding, unwavering support. But at night, in the silence, you see the ships of his passion sailing past, seeking the storm in other waters. You have polished your persona, the mask of the perfect wife, girlfriend, partner, to a shine. You became the light of his life, forgetting that true passion is born on the border. A man's soul, tired of light alone, instinctively craves not only your virtue, it craves the mystery hidden by your darkness and the wild flame that you so carefully hide. And know this desire is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that your soul is tired of playing only one socially approved role. This hunger for animal passion is the call of your suppressed power. Millions of women in perfect relationships feel the same hunger, but remain silent in shame. Your secret desire to be not only good but also bad for him is a healthy, mighty call of your soul toward wholeness. What you considered your curse, his coldness, is actually a blessing. It is a mirror. He unconsciously reflects the part of you that you yourself have frozen. Understand the main law. He cannot desire your shadow until you yourself acknowledge and love it. His detachment is not a sentence on your relationship. It is a signal that your soul is ready for the next level of development, for an encounter with its true, frightening, and irresistible power. To understand how to ignite the fire in him, we must first understand why the light you tried to warm him with actually casts such a long and cold shadow. Let's begin a ruthless but healing deconstruction of your illusions. The myth of light femininity and the hunger of his soul society sold you the myth of light femininity. You were told, be understanding, be caring, inspire him, become his quiet harbor. And you followed these rules flawlessly. But all this advice works only on one side of your personality, the light, socially acceptable persona. You tried to cook an exquisite dish using only sugar, but true, all-consuming passion requires salt, pepper, fire, all that is in your shadow. They failed to tell you the main secret of male psychology. A man, while seeking a harbor in a woman, unconsciously craves a storm. Two images are eternally struggling in his soul, the Madonna and the whore. And as long as you offer him only the purity of the Madonna, he will secretly fantasize about the one who is not afraid of her sinfulness. It is this internal conflict that gives birth to obsession. His coldness is not a rejection of you. It is a symptom of his psychological hunger. His soul, his unconscious, what Jung called the anima, is starving for your wholeness. It is not receiving the full palate of psychological food. You feed him only sweet, but his soul craves spicy, bitter, salty. He seeks in you those forbidden ingredients that you yourself have forbidden, hiding them in the shadow. Your healthy aggression capable of saying no. Your sacred selfishness that puts your own dignity first. Your wild, untamed sexuality, free from shame. And so he unconsciously gravitates toward women who embody his own shadow, because they give him a feeling of wholeness and, most importantly, life. His indifference is not his verdict on you. It is a cry of his soul addressed to the part of you that you yourself keep in captivity. Your secret shadow, the living mirror. And now be honest with yourself. Remember the moments when you felt a pang of jealousy or unexplained irritation towards other women, perhaps more brazen, more selfish, more sexually free. What exactly about their behavior caught your attention? What quality that you condemned in them would you secretly like to allow yourself? Their audacity? Their ability to put themselves first? Their freedom from others' opinions? Pause this video and write down 3 such qualities. Be ruthlessly honest. Carl Jung said that what irritates us about others can lead to an understanding of ourselves. These women are not your rivals. They are living mirrors of your shadow, showing you the strength that you yourself took away from yourself and are now forced to see in others. And here, the great explorer of the depths, the cartographer of the human soul, Carl Gustav Jung takes the stage. He was the first who dared to descend into these dark but treasure-filled dungeons of the psyche, not with condemnation, but with an explorer's lantern. And he discovered a universal law. Everything we suppress in ourselves does not disappear. It does not dissolve. It becomes our shadow and autonomous, powerful force, our invisible double that controls our fate and our relationships from behind the scenes. This shadow is the storehouse of all our rejected life force. And until we look it in the eye, we are doomed to unconsciously seek it in other people. Jung called this mechanism the projection of the shadow, and it is the key to understanding why you are so painfully drawn to some people and so inexplicably irritated by others. You are looking for something in the outer world that you refuse to find within yourself. The Wild Queen in the basement, your shadow is not a monster. It is not evil. It is your wild primordial power that you locked up to be a good girl. It is the storehouse of all your repressed life energy. Imagine your psyche as a large house. On the bright upper floor lives your persona, the ideal hostess. She is polite, hospitable, always knows what to say, and maintains perfect order. But locked in the basement of this house is a wild, powerful queen, your shadow. There in the darkness is stored your ability to say a firm no, your rage that protects boundaries, your sacred selfishness that does not allow you to be used, your spontaneity, creativity, and most importantly, your primal sexuality, free from shame and guilt. These are all the parts of you that were called bad, inconvenient, selfish in childhood. A man may visit, admire the order on the upper floor, and respect the hostess, but his unconscious will always hear the mysterious laughter and the rattling of chains from the basement. He will be irresistibly drawn to the mystery, to that unpredictable and powerful force that slumbers below. And as long as this queen is in chains, your throne will be vacant in the king. Your man will unconsciously seek her in other kingdoms. Maria and Lilith. The paradox of wholeness. To see how this powerful force acts in real life, let me tell you the story of Maria and Lilith. Maria was the ideal wife. Caring, devoted, she created a perfect world of order and light for her husband, always putting his desires above her own. But her husband started a secret, all-consuming romance with Lilith, an artist, an independent, selfish, and unpredictable woman. He had no intention of leaving Maria, whom he sincerely loved for her kindness. But he also could not give up Lilith, who gave him a feeling of life. From Jung's perspective, this tragedy was inevitable. Maria's husband was projecting onto Lilith his own suppressed creative and free part his anima. But most importantly, he saw in her the shadow, the wildness, the selfishness, the passion that Maria so carefully concealed in herself. Lilith was his dirty secret because she reflected his own dirty, unacknowledged parts. Lilith was not better than Maria. She was wholer. She was not afraid of her demons, and it was this courage that made her hypnotically attractive. She gave the man what Maria could not comfort, but permission to be himself, with all his darkness and light. And you are Maria, but deep inside you, bound by fear and a sense of duty, sleeps your own Lilith. Your main fear is that if you show him this wild, selfish, passionate part, he will reject you. But here's the paradox that will change everything. It is your concealment of this part that creates the distance that is killing you. Understand, the man you love does not want another woman. He desperately wants all of you. He wants to see your inner Lilith. He craves for you to become his shameful fantasy, because this will give him unconscious permission to accept his own shadow sides. He wants you to sometimes be selfish, to growl when he violates your boundaries, to look at him with hunger, and not just with love, because your shadow is the key to his shadow. Your courage to be bad frees him to be real. He is not looking for another woman. He is looking for the other, missing part of his own. He is looking for the one you are so afraid to set free, naming your forbidden power. And now let's look even deeper. We have named this dynamic, but now it is time to name your own hidden power. What is the most shameful fantasy about yourself that you have never dared to not only realize, but even think through? Who would you be if for one day, just 24 hours, you threw off the heavy mask of the good girl and there were no consequences for it? What forbidden fruit would you taste? What no would you finally utter? Whose expectations would you joyfully destroy? No need for censorship. No need for fear. Right now at this point lies your greatest untouched power. This is your territory. I invite you to take a bold step. Write in the comments just one word that describes your forbidden version of yourself. Perhaps it is audacious or inconvenient, selfish, predator, free, uncontrollable. Give her a name. Say it. Allow her to come into the light for a moment in this safe space. Let's create a place here where our shadow does not need to hide, but can show itself in all its frightening and beautiful splendor. From coldness to wholeness, the alchemical path. Stop fighting his coldness. Start thanking it. It is not a wall to be broken through, but the most honest teacher you have ever had. His indifference is a compass that unerringly points to the parts of your personality that require your attention and integration. This is the great alchemy of the soul. His lead, his detachment is given to you as raw material for you to transform it into the gold of your own wholeness. Change your focus. Every time you feel coldness from him, immediately look inside yourself and ask, what part of myself am I betraying right now to be convenient for him? What wildness of mine am I taming? What anger of mine am I swallowing for fear of losing him? The answer to this question is much more important than the reason for his bad mood. The path to passion is not the path of changing him, but the path of ruthless and beautiful self-expansion. But what does it mean to integrate the shadow? It does not mean you need to become a bitch, make scandals, or take revenge. That is a vulgar and primitive understanding. Integration is a subtle, deep inner work. It is not about indulging your shadow impulses, but about becoming aware of them. It is not about letting the beast out of the cage. It is about descending into the basement, sitting across from your wild queen, and starting a dialogue with her. When you acknowledge and accept your inner aggression, you will no longer need to break down in hysterics. You will be able to calmly, firmly, and timely say no, protecting your boundaries. When you acknowledge your primal sexuality, you will not need to vulgarly demonstrate it. It will show through in every glance, every movement, in the deep, calm acceptance of your female power. Integration is the transformation of blind, destructive force into manageable, creative power. You stop being a victim of your impulses and become the mistress of your full, multifaceted, and incredibly attractive nature. 2 exercises for shadow work. Here are 2 specific but deep internal exercises that you can start doing today. First, the shadow journal. Keep a journal and every evening write down moments when you felt irritation, envy, or unprovoked anger. Then, instead of condemning, ask yourself one question. What suppressed desire of mine is behind this emotion? What need of mine did I ignore to remain convenient? Second, active imagination. In meditation or simply in silence, imagine your shadow figure, that very Lilith. What does she look like? How does she move? What does she want to tell you? Start a dialogue with her. Ask her advice in situations where you feel weak. The goal is not to blindly act like her, but to integrate her wisdom and fearlessness into your conscious life. These exercises are not just psychological tricks. They are a sacred act of reclaiming the lost parts of your soul. You are literally rescuing your own exiled power from captivity. The secret of unforgettable attraction. And here is the main secret you must remember. Your attractiveness has never depended on his approval. It depends solely on your own wholeness. When a woman connects with her shadow, she stops being an energy beggar. She becomes a self-sufficient source of energy. She no longer seeks the fire in him. She herself becomes the fire. And men, like all living things, are instinctively drawn to such a flame, not to control it, but to warm themselves in its rays. Remember, your task is not to become his fantasy. Your task is to become your own. So bold, so real, so frighteningly and wonderfully alive that he cannot help but fall under your influence. You do not ignite his passion, you ignite your own, and he comes to its light. Because there is nothing more seductive in this world than a woman who has made peace with her darkness and learned to dance with her demons. So we have come a long way. And now you see, becoming his dirty secret is not about humiliation or playing a game. It is about becoming so whole and frighteningly honest with yourself that in your presence, he too can take off his mask and meet his own shadow. You become for him not just a woman, but a guide to his own soul. You give him the greatest gift a woman can give a man, not comfort, but permission to be whole. And this creates a bond that neither time nor daily life can destroy. And this will change not only your nights, it will change how you walk, how you speak, how you look at the world. Imagine that you are no longer walking on tiptoes. You tread firmly on the ground, knowing that both your light and your darkness are beautiful. A depth will appear in your eyes, a strength in your voice, a freedom in your movements. And he looks at you no longer as a familiar piece of furniture, but as an unsolved mystery that he wants to fathom his entire life. You will stop being convenient and become alive. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for your trust and your courage. Shadow work is a path for the brave, a path for those who seek not comfort, but truth. Today you took the first and most important step. You looked in the direction where most are afraid to even glance. Know that you are not alone on this journey. Here in this space, gather those who are not afraid of their depth. Welcome home. If you are ready to continue exploring the deepest and most powerful corners of your soul, subscribe to the channel and click the bell. Every video here is not just theory, but another step toward your wholeness and power, toward the version of yourself that is impossible to ignore or forget. This is an invitation to a community of those who choose depth, not superficiality. And remember, do not be afraid of your darkness. It is in it that the light is hidden that will make you unforgettable. Be whole, be real, be his sweetest sin,